Yeah, okay. So, hello guys, and welcome to today's Geeks Talk Thursday session. So, this month we're doing Flutter series, and we have at least 3 sessions, and getting started with the first one from from the request we got from community members. There have been so much request on Flutter since for the last 3 months, so we just decided we want to do 3 or 4 sessions. So today we're starting with the first, which is going to be taken by Danvick. Yeah, so just before going to that, I'm just so Geeks Talk Thursday is a community of developers who learn, engage, and share knowledge. And the slogan has always been "Let the commit speak." So Geeks Talk Thursday is brought to you by Abstract KE. And so, what we always talk about in Geeks of Thursday was about we always do introductions to development, we do sessions on code labs, we always have chats and discussions. We always talk about productivity tools, teamwork, and collaboration. We also do product review and launching for those who have their products and or they want to review the product or they want to launch so that users can test. We can always schedule for that to one of the Thursdays, and we also always talk and take part in open source. So other interesting activities which most we always just highlight for uh, guys to check out is first is Fun Friday by Podi. So this will be tomorrow, I think, 4 p.m. to 5 p.m. I think in almost all these tech groups we always get them. We always get this. Then there are also some YouTube channels which are also coming up. Can check. So for every sessions we do at Geeks of Thursday, we always upload them on YouTube. So you can just go and search for Geeks of Thursday on YouTube and check them. So we always upload them a week after the session. So there's also Frank Tamre who is also doing some sessions. You can check it out. And so we always try to discover some channels, and in case you have other one or if you have your own channel coming up, you can share it in the chat and we can include it here next time. So also Tech Dictated, you can check it out. Yeah, and I think another big event coming up in this month is DevFest Kenya, where all GDG clusters in Kenya are merging together to do one virtual DevFest Kenya event. So it will be on 16th to 18th October this year, this month. So under 254, Cotton Kenya and Flutter Kenya also the virtual events are back. So if you're in the groups, or always search for Kotlin Kenya, Flutter Kenya, and under 254 Telegram, and you'll find them. And also one big one is DroidCon email is coming. I think it's this month, so you can just click on the link kenya.droidcon.com, and today I just saw an awesome post that because the tickets are actually sold and there was some time where you could apply for free tickets, but there's also some awesome news in that you can get a ticket for as much as you can pay. And in my opinion, as much as you can pay is from 1 shilling onwards. So just go to the link. If you don't have a ticket already, I think it's the best time to get one, because the as much as you can pay is your cheapest you can afford, if I may assume that. So yeah, so you can find us on YouTube, which I've already said, and GitHub. So today we're happy and honored to have Danvick Miller, who is a software engineer. He's going to talk to us about monitoring your app with Flutter. And your today's moderator is me, Emmanuel Magak, and software developer. So the topic today is monitoring your Flutter app with Firebase. And so from this point, I think I'll just stop sharing my screen and leave for Danvick to take over. So stay around, guys. After the session, at the end, I'm going to tell you the next two sessions or three coming, which are also big and awesome topics here. Thank you. So welcome, Danvick, and you can pick it from here.
Okay, thank you very much, Emmanuel. So today I wanted to speak to us about, I hope that I'm clear.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you. So today I'm going to speak to us about monitoring your production app with Firebase. So many times you build an app and you basically want to understand your users, you want to get reports on whether if there are any crashes that happen within, like when users are using your app. So this is something that is very useful to a developer, especially if you have like a startup business and you're working on it. You'd really like to know if there are crashes and what's not, because like, so when it comes to mobile, there's like your users are detached and everyone is using their own devices, their own OS version, their own, someone is using an Infinix, another one is using an iPhone 12, another one is using, like when it comes to Android only, there are like hundreds of devices, if not thousands. But you'd want to know like which users are impacted by which problems. Do I have problems in my code? How is the user performing? How are the user interacting with my app? So these are things that you may really want to know in order to understand your market, in order to understand, to make sure that your product is stable, in order to know the performance of your app in the wild. So we are going to look at Crashlytics, performance monitoring by Firebase, and also analytics. So Crashlytics is a service by Firebase, is a Firebase service that basically its main aim is to check the stability of your app when you're using it, when users are using it, and you want to get if your app crashes in the wild, you want to know like how many users are impacted. What can I do in the shortest time possible to solve this issue? Because you know, like when it comes to someone's real estate on like the storage on an app, on a device, you really want not to be the one to be uninstalled from the app, because people really pay attention to which apps are working and which ones are useful to me. So you'd want to not have an app that crashes every other time. So Crashlytics does that for you. It will collect any crashes, the crash information, including the messages and the start traces. It will help you analyze the errors that your users are getting, and organize the crash reports so that you know which ones to give priority to and start fixing as early as possible, and which one to maybe schedule for later. It has real-time reporting where, like, if there's an issue that is impacting so many users and it's happening like right now, you'll get emails for critical ones. And with that information, you can be able to improve your app so that you don't have negative reviews on Play Store or App Store. Another thing is that, okay, I think I said it ranks the issues by users affected by version of the app. Maybe there's an old version has a problem and then a newer version basically, or maybe you've introduced a new bug in the new version. You want to know where is the error occurring and which versions. There are some other things like regions, which bugs usually organizing by region doesn't really make sense a lot, but if you want that, you can do that. You will see when it comes to performance, regions may be very important, especially you want to know which country is being affected. So you can explore the stack trace. Basically, it will give you a whole stack trace. What was the user doing before the error occurred, so that you can be able to reproduce the error, like go step by step and get where the client got before they got the error. Another thing is Firebase Performance Monitoring. Performance monitoring is where like your app there are several metrics that are measured by your app. Basically, startup times, basically by just installing Firebase Performance Monitoring, things like HTTP requests and basically the startup time of your app is measured, so that you know, like, your app, is it taking too much time to load? How are the HTTP requests? And then things like HTTP requests, you may want to know which region is being impacted. Let's say my server is hosted in the US, or it's hosted in Kenya, and I have clients in Nigeria, and it takes a lot of time for them to get the data loaded on their app. Maybe you may now come to a point where you want to know, you'd want to now scale and be able to do basically vertical scaling, where you have like another server in Nigeria, so that the users don't have a lot of latency when it comes to getting requests from your server. You'd want to know if requests are failing. Basically, that will help you. Even like, you see, I'm using my mobile phone, but it will help me understand how my server is working. So if there are any like non-200 based request statuses, you'll get maybe you're getting a 404, you're getting 500s and whatnot. So basically, you know what to do to fix such kinds of issues. There's also custom metrics tracing, where you'd want to know, maybe you're doing something that is quite labor intensive on your app. Maybe you'd want to measure how long it takes. Let's say you are doing compressing data or something like that. You may want to know how long it's taking to do that, so that you know the performance, how the users are impacted by performance. So as I said, the metrics are grouped by region, the device, the network that the user is using. Maybe they are on 2G, and another one is 4G. Maybe the 2G one, maybe you may say maybe the network is the problem. If a 4G person or someone who is using very strong Wi-Fi is having a problem, then you know the problem may be your server. So this will actually help you. Maybe the API level of your Android version or the OS version is being affected, is one causing problems. Firebase will do all that for you, and it will group all that information for you. So the last thing is we're going to look at is analytics, where we want to understand the trends. Maybe how are the users using my app? There are two types of analytics. Basically, there's in-app behavioral analytics. We will do a demo of this, where we are reporting what are the users doing in my app. Let's say a user put an item in the shopping cart. You want to know that, because you may want to understand which products are selling very well, which products maybe people have in their wish list and it's never bought. Maybe at one point you may want to do some kind of sales to make sure that that product also goes. Maybe you see how in demand the product is, and which categories are doing well. So basically, which products are doing well, which categories are doing well. And then you'll also be, these metrics will also be grouped by region. Maybe someone in people in Western are always buying chicken, and people in Nyanza are buying fish. So you want to know which side of which region is affected by which analytics. The second type of analytics is attribution analytics, where it will measure the effectiveness of, if you're doing campaigns, let's say you're sending out push notifications or ad campaigns, you may want to know which kind of users are actually getting on this, which is the agenda, again by region or any other thing that you may want to take note of, because this is the part where the business side of your app comes in, because you want to understand how the app is being used. And so one of the things, as I said, demographics. Once you install analytics, number one, the number of times your app is opened. If your app is deleted, the number of times a user opens your app, the number of hours spent on your app. Basically, you want to understand such things. And like once you install analytics, those are things that will just start reporting. You don't have to do anything. So I planned to do a bit of a demo. And now that you know about demos and presentations, so let me just say, may the demo gods be with me. So I'll try to do a demo as fast as possible. So here I have a very simple app. it has a local server which is running Node. So I'll just start the server before I start the app. While the app is starting. So the server is up. Let's wait for the app to build. So what we have here is just a small app that has. We are doing a demo of something like you're running your own Jumia, or you're running your own like an e-commerce app that people are buying products or viewing and buying products from your app, and you want to understand how the users are doing, check if there are any crashes and whatnot. So this is not this app will not win any awards because it's just a bare bones app. So what we have is a list of items just randomly generated with their prices, and you can scroll through and look at the apps, and for any product that you have that you want to maybe think about buying later, you can just add them to your wish list. So basically all you do is add it to your wish list, and when you come to your wish list up here, you'll be able to see the items that you've added to your wish list. You can remove some of them if you wish. Then we have like purchases, where you can purchase a product. So basically we just have like 4 screens. So if you purchase a product, when you come to your shopping cart, it will show you that your total. It will allow you to proceed to checkout. It will also basically just show you which products are in your shopping cart, and you'll be able to maybe add or remove items from your shopping cart. Okay. So that is as simple as the app comes. What we are interested in is knowing how to install and set up analytics. So basically, these Firebase monitoring tools, not analytics only. So what we have is that I've created a project on Firebase, which we will be able to, after integrating, we'll be able to see the demographic, all the metrics coming in, and we'll be able to see how Firebase Analytics, Crashlytics, and Performance Monitoring is actually working, and checking how your app is doing. So number one, where we'll start is we'll set up analytics. And right now we're just doing for Android, but still you can do for iOS. It's just about the time that we have to do the demo. So number one, we will create, first of all, there's this site called Flutterfire. I don't know if it's Flutterfire. Firebase. Okay, I think we'll come to that site when we are starting to do the demo now. Let's just start with first of all, see how we integrate the services. So to integrate first of all, we will include this we will include such things as analytics in our build.gradle. So I'll just copy that. So all the instructions are found in pub.dev. So all this, we're just using Flutter packages. So when you go to pub.dev, we have Firebase Analytics, Firebase Crashlytics. So these are the plugins you're going to just install and set up. So for analytics, this is where you'll find it. For Crashlytics, we'll have to look for the specific package. Crashlytics, then Firebase Performance. So Firebase Performance, that's another plugin that we're going to use. Yeah, so just to start, we're going to do, I think we're going to do Crashlytics first. So when you come to your project, once you've initiated your project, I don't know whether we'll be able to initiate one, but I think you'll just bear with me because of time. I would have liked for us to just start from scratch, but currently we'll just use whatever I have already. So this is my app. We'll come to the project settings, download this Google services.json, just the same way you would when you're using your real-time database, or you're using storage, or you're using authentication for Flutter. So you'll download the Google services.json. So save the file, then go to your downloads, copy the file, so after copying, we come and take it to our Android. So we take it to our app folder. Let's switch branches. So we'll take the we'll just start the project first. So we'll take the Google Services JSON and place it inside our app folder. So paste, make sure that it's renamed correctly. Then you can overwrite whatever we had already. So basically with this, you put all the configuration for your project and the way it ties into your Firebase backend. So the next step in the process will be setting up. So the same will happen for iOS. You'll just download the plist, the Google Services plist, and put in your iOS. So the process is a bit different, but mostly since it's Flutter and we are sharing most of the code, the difference is quite minimal. So here we'll come to our build.gradle in Android. And number one, just confirm that you have the Google repository here and in all projects. Then the other thing you're going to do is you're going to, in our dependencies, you're going to add like Google services and Crashlytics for a start, because you want to do both of them. Yeah, so I think that's that with that process. Also go to our app bundle, our build Gradle, the one in the app folder, and then go to build Gradle. Then when it comes to dependencies, all these instructions, you'll find them in the documentation for the packages I've shown you. So we're just doing this fast because of time. So that's that. We're also supposed to apply the plugins for Google services and Crashlytics. Let's apply plugins. So that's the next thing we're doing. So after that, we install now our so for us to use analytics, we have in our pub spec.yaml, we now installed our dependencies, which number one will be, so we'll install Firebase Core and Firebase Analytics because we want to use analytics. Then after this, now we go to our main.dat. That is where our project is initialized. We also need to set up a few things there. So I'll make this function async because we're going to do some things that we're going to await for setup. So after doing this, get the dependencies. Then we are supposed to, number one, initialize our app. So this is an important piece of information. After which, in our material app, we're going to set up. Also, you'll note that we're not just also monitoring. We're also monitoring which views the user is going to. Basically, want to understand the user navigated from home page to another page. So basically, we want to also to include that in our app. So we're going to include something in our navigation observers. Navigation observers is just the functions that will observe our, basically how we are navigating through the app. And this is something that is also reported to Firebase, so that you understand which pages are viewed by your users mostly, and basically just understand the interactivity that happens within your project or within your app. So with this, we have set up, first of all, we have initialized the app. We have initialized the Firebase project. We've created an analytics instance, and we've used Firebase Analytics Observer to observe our navigation. Basically, when someone navigates from one page to another, like let's say from here, I've navigated from the main products list to a given product. Maybe I may want to add it to my shopping cart and whatnot. So basically, it will be observing such kinds of behavior when the user is using your app. So another thing that we can do now is, now that we are monitoring the navigation, another thing we can do is now have in our homepage, wherever you are navigating, let's say, for example, we are navigating to the view page, we want to include more information about that view, so that this kind of information is reported to Firebase. So for here, we will do, when navigating, number one, we'll also include settings, basically root settings, which will include the name of the, I'll just do it as I go, settings. So this will include the name of that route that the user is going to. Let's say, for example, this one, we will call it our product view. So let's say /product. So basically, this is the name of the route. Products / let's say get the name of get the index of the ID of the product, because that is what we want to include in the name of that route. So basically the product ID. Also, we are also navigating to the wish list. That is also something that we want to report, that the user is now navigated to the wish list. So here, the next thing we'll be doing add settings, route settings, and then the name is /wish list. Also here we are navigating to the shopping cart. So we can add another setting, we can add the information here. Route settings. So remember that this routing information is being sent to Firebase while we are navigating through the app. So /cat. So with that, I think I'll need to stop the app and start again for the new packages to take effect. So with that, that is only that. As we go, we will see how to access this in Firebase. We just want to take the shortest time possible. Then the next thing now we would want to do, we'll want to analyze how the user is interacting with the products. Maybe when the user views a product, we want to report that the user has viewed this product. We want to report anything that the user is doing in the product in the app. So first of all, I will add a dependency injector. This is not useful in this project, but it's just that we will need it at one point. So we are using a package called getit to set up our so that we can be able to share this instance of Firebase Analytics. We'll just see as we go. So that will take a minute to install. I think it's done. So because we want to access this analytics instance from anywhere within the app, we could have used provider, but provider will not allow us to access the app with when we are in the business logic where we don't have context. So that's the reason why you're using getit. So there will be an error. Now we will set up somewhere above here. So getit, all it does is it will register a singleton of that instance of Firebase Analytics, so that we only have one instance that you can access from anywhere within the app. That is all that is being done there. So this is not part of the project. So the next thing is we will now use getit to access the analytics instance, because we want to use it in several places in our app. So getit, all it does is that it gets that instance that was created here and it accesses it down here, the same way we had done. It's just that we want to access it in also in other files. So one thing we may want to do is let me just copy this. When the user goes to the product view page where I can view one product, I want to, once the user gets in, so once the user gets in, we want to report that to Firebase. And it's as simple as getting that Firebase instance. Let's first import the dependencies inside our app up there. Then the next thing we're going to do is once you just get the instance and you press dot, you will see Firebase will recommend quite a number of loggers that you'll be able to, like logging events. It will suggest a number of logging events that you'll be able to log the information. Let's say, for example, now the user has navigated to the view page of our product, of a single now product. What we'll do is we'll log view item. So log view item will ask for quite a number of things, basically, that will be reported to Firebase. So here we'll say, let's get the widget product.id because we want the item ID. Then we'll also get the product name. So here we'll get product name and the category that it belongs to. Since my app is not categorized, so I'll just say categories all. You can also include further information, such as the price. Let me do this so that it is well formatted. We can add the price. So the price for us, it will be a string. So I'll just convert it to a double. So we'll do double the pass, which we will be able to pass the product information. So once the user, since init state is called when the user navigates to this page, first of all, this information will be sent to Firebase that the user has viewed a product with this product ID, with this product name, at this price. So basically, we're understanding the user is maybe interested in buying this product, and that is, as a business person, this is very important because we want to know how the user is how the user is interacting with our products. So let me see, there's an error in my. So let's run. Another thing, we're going to do quite a number of reportings. So another thing we're also going to report is when the user adds an item to their wish list. So this is done inside our business logic. So again, we will copy we'll do this. So get it. Instance. So we're getting an instance of Firebase Analytics, that same instance that we declared in our main app. Then we'll say dot. Now in our wishlist qubit, so when the user removes an item from the, let's first of all see what we do when the user adds an item to the wish list. So there is that. So basically what we're doing is that we're checking if the item is contained in the wish list, then we'll remove it, since we're just toggling the status. So when the item is contained in the list, we remove it. If it's not there, we add it. So after adding, what do? We log an event called add to wish list. So add to wish list will also require the same information, where we'll be getting the item ID. Sorry about that. So you're getting the item .id, the item name. So basically it's just item.name. Then the category, I think since you have not categorized our products, you're just saying all. But if you have if your products are categorized, you may want to say like, this is a mobile app, someone is doing a TV, someone else is doing something else, because Firebase will allow you to now group them into the categories that they belong to. For us, we don't have any categories. So quantity, we may just say 1. So the next thing you're going to do is so basically this will log any instances of a user adding something to their wish list. So the next thing you'll see that this is an interesting bit. because you can log anything. For example, here we have this, but we don't have an item to log removing an item from the wish list. So we can create our own event. So just log event, which will just decide which parameters that you want to pass. So let's say we'll name this parameter remove from wish list. Then which parameters do you want to pass? So here we'll just pass in a map. Sorry, how to say parameters. Just pass in a map of information that you want to pass. Maybe we'll just copy this and add it here and make sure that it conforms to our map. So you'll also notice that when I go to, now these are functions that are provided by Firebase, the most commonly used, but log event is the main event, is the main function that logs an event that has happened inside your app. So for example, when I go to log add to wish list, when you go to its declaration, you'll find that it's just calling log event with the parameters that we passed in. So everything is just logging an event. It's just that we have Firebase has done the work of categorizing for you the most common ones, like adding an event to an item to wish list, or adding an event to cart, an item to cart. So another thing you're also going to do is when the user adds something to their cart, we also want to log that. So I hope this won't take us a lot of time, and maybe you're interested in now seeing what is happening on the other side. So here's what I'll do. I'll just copy and paste in whatever. So basically, when the item has been added to cart, we do that. So we log add to cart with the information that is being passed in, same information about that product that is being added to cart. Same to our when an item is removed from cart. So let's go to Firebase and see. Basically, now this is happening in real time when we're adding items to cart. So basically here, when we are adding to cart, basically in the backend, it's just pushing the information to Firebase. When I add to wish list or cart, this is what it's doing in the background. When I remove from cart, that's what is being logged. Basically, these are the events being logged. So when I come to my Firebase console and go to analytics, to my analytics dashboard, number one, you'll see some things that we didn't actually set up, but Firebase is actually just doing it for us. Let me check a minute. The problem with the internet. So basically, how many users are being used? Maybe like right now, there's only one user logged in and using the app. So this is real-time information being shown on your app. Another thing is going to events. Now, these are events that are happening within your app. You'll see that like some user added payment information, added an item to cart. We can also drill down. There's a way you can drill down to which items and see added items to wish list. So basically, these are the events that have been happening inside the app. Some of them happened before. So this is basically what Firebase does for you. How many times has the user have users added something to cart? How many times items have been added to wish list? You'll also see other information such as an app exception. This is not something that we put in manually, but Firebase will do that for you. So how many exceptions have happened, and you can drill down by dates and see how frequent these events are happening, which is very useful for someone who would like to know how the performance of their app and how their app is being used. So we are yet to finish. Let's finish up integrating that. So another thing is that we also want to, if your cart or if your store is categorized into products, you may want to, when someone goes to view a product, when the product list is loaded, basically we have fetched the list from our server. We may want to also add another event that the user is like viewing this category. For us, our category is all, but for you, it may be products, it may be like mobile phone, it may be like home products, it may be clothes, or whichever category that the user is viewing at the moment. So what we have is just all, since we have not categorized our product. So the start, then the information is logged. The next thing you can report is I think that's that for the products. Let's now go to our shopping cart. Basically, we want to see when the user clicks proceed to checkout. We want to capture that event that the user has actually clicked to start checking out of the cart and start the process of payment. So for that, give me a minute. So I'll just paste my information from elsewhere and post it in here. So when this button proceed to checkout, this button is clicked. We want to, as much as we're not doing the business logic right now, we want to log this information that this has happened. So for example, if you're doing it now, you'll add here your to-dos, basically doing that process of checking out. So number one, we log an event of the user has begun checking out. And this is the value of, but basically this is the total of whatever is happening in the cart. This is the currency, maybe it's in Kenya shillings. The next thing is after maybe the user has selected with payment options, maybe you want to report that the user has set a checkout option. Let's say our checkout option was M-Pesa. We now report that they are checking out with M-Pesa. The next thing is maybe they've added payment information, maybe the phone number and whatnot. Basically, you can be able to log that. So that Firebase understands whatever is happening in your app. I think that is all when it comes to our analytics. There are things that it will do for you by default. I don't think we saw all of them. Let me just go back and click again. There are some very interesting information that have been added there without even your intervention. Now what's happening with my instance of Firebase? Let me just reload the whole thing. It's taking a bit of time. Yeah, so apart from that, you can also see that basically, I think we mentioned that an app exception if it happens. Basically, when someone uninstalls your app, you want to know like how many instances of that event have happened and how many users have actually done that event. This is basically the number of users that have done this event. From here, you can see like one user has added 15 items to cart. So basically, as the more people use your app, the more information you are getting there. So one user has begun checkout, first open. Basically, when the app is opened at the first time for a first user, for a first install, basically that will also be reported so that you know, like if more users are coming into your app, so that you also understand how many times the users have viewed your app. Basically, if maybe I open the app and I close the app and open it again, basically this will be reported. When I start a new session with the app, it will be reported. So basically, this is information that you'd use to understand how users are using the app. So that is all we are going to discuss about Firebase analytics. I think there's something more we can add here. Let's drill into one and see how much information we can get. So basically, we can add you can see that the top products, item ID number 6 has been added. Maybe instead of item ID, you may want to use like something that will be something like a name that the user can be, that you can be able to see exactly what is being added. But you can see here, item ID 6 has been added 3 times, so that we know this is a product. This is a popular product. Item ID 42 has been added 2 times. Item ID number 36 has been added 1 time. Basically, also categories, you may want to know which category they belong to, which basically, am I selling mobiles more than TVs, or clothing more than beddings or such things? So this is information that you're getting. Also, you're getting by region. Basically, you want to know how many events of adding to carts are happening in Kenya, or how many by gender. You see, this is information that is very useful to someone who is running such kind of an app where we are selling something online. So I think that is all with that. So the next thing you're going to look at is now adding for performance monitoring. So performance monitoring will need us to do more configuration from the Android side. Basically, our build.gradle for both the app level and the project level. So from the project level build.gradle, we're just going to add the specific plugins that are needed for us to continue using it. So number 1, we're going to add in our dependencies. Here we had Crashlytics, so we just add another one. This is a Firebase Performance plugin. And then I think that is that for this specific file. Then you're also adding this implementation to our app level build.gradle. So implementation here, we'll add the one for performance. We'll also apply the plugin for performance up there. So here, apply plugin. So this performance monitoring, I think that is all for now for that specific section. The next, you're now going to pub.dev again, look for the performance. So Firebase Performance. So Firebase Performance is actually very interesting because you want to understand how long it takes to do such, like basically you want to see the metrics of how the app is performance. You can trace a given item. We're not going to do much of this, but just showing you from the documentation, this is what can be done so that we don't eat into the time that I have for presentation. I can see I didn't remain with such little time. So another thing we can do is like I can do performance, I can do HTTP metric performance, which we'll be able to see. So basically for me, I'm just going to copy this, get my, I think for compatibility purposes, I'm going to use a lower version. So we have Firebase. Firebase Performance. So Firebase Performance, I'm going to require 0.3.2. And then for me, instead of writing this manually, this Firebase Performance, instead of writing the HTTP metric and measuring it manually, I'm using another plugin for HTTP. So it has a plugin for, which has a plugin for Firebase Performance. So I'm using this package called DIO. So I'm using DIO Firebase Performance. So that will make my work easy, because instead of writing all that code, I will just put an interceptor that will intercept all the requests and include the performance metric information. So instead of doing all that, all I'm going to do is get the interceptor. I think for anyone who hasn't used DIO, this may be a bit confusing, but basically all I have to do is go to DIO, Firebase Performance, and include version 0.10.0. Then I do a pub-get. Since I have a network layer that does everything for me, what I'm going to do is when I come to my lib folder, I'm just going to my services, go to my HTTP client. This is what handles all my HTTP requests. So all I'm going to do is that I'm going to add another interceptor that will intercept all the going ins and coming in, going outs and coming ins of the HTTP requests, and report that and add that as an interceptor. What you'll see now from here is that when I come to my Firebase project, when I go to performance monitoring, basically just by adding performance monitoring, it will monitor such things as how much time it takes for your app to start. It will do basically to be doing averages by basically the app version. Since the app version you're using right now is just version 1, it will do the same metric for different versions of your app. Maybe you're doing improvements in terms of you want to improve the startup time of your app. So this is not something that we've included, but it will do directly for us since we just included Firebase Performance. And this is important because if someone tries to open your app and it's taking a lot of time to load, someone may not be very interested in going further with using your app. Another thing is now the network bit. So the network bit will show you like how many requests, how long, what is the median time it's taking for a response for you to get a response. So you'll be able to see from this, you'll be able to see also some other information that is there to be included, like what is the size of the payload that you're getting. So this will depend on the number of requests you're getting. So here you can see that I'm requesting from this IP, and so far what we've done is we have 11 samples. So we can also break this down and do a filter. So you can do a filter basically by device. See, like the Google emulator, this is what it's getting. Filter by carrier. Basically, if you're using Safaricom, T-Mobile, whichever. So for my emulator is using T-Mobile for the information by carrying. So, but you may want to know like how are users using Safaricom impacted? How are users using like Infinix impacted? How about by region or by country? Like you may want to compare that and see, as we said, you may want to now scale or do a vertical scaling of your app so that users in different regions get as low latency as possible. Because you may have users in Nigeria who are taking a lot of time to get responses. You put another server there, put replication, then your app becomes faster over there, so that they don't get angry with you. So that is all with performance. There is more that you can do if you look at the documentation. It's just because of time that we're going so fast. So, and the last thing you're going to look at is just Crashlytics. Crashlytics, since we have already included the information about Crashlytics, we've already included it in our PubSpec. All we do is so install the plugin or the package. So after that, we do pub-get. Then the most important thing when it comes to analytics is that you may want to see, you may want to report all the issues that you're getting. Anything, let's say your app, the biggest issue you have in Flutter is when basically overflows. That is the biggest issue usually people have in Flutter. So what we do here is only before we run the app, we set up Crashlytics to receive all the instances of basically when a problem occurs, send all that information to Crashlytics. This is as easy as putting this one line. So this is the project. This is the framework level handling of errors. Basically, on error, send that in error to analytics, so that if there's a problem with Flutter itself, it will be sent to analytics. Now, the next thing we can do is now also come to our own local instances. For example, in our, when we are trying to load these images from these products from our server, there is in our business logic, there's a place where we handle errors. So basically here, before we set the error state, we can add this so that get the exception and log it to Firebase. So it's as easy as putting this line so that exception that we're getting here, we push it over to Firebase so that specific instance is reported. For example, let me just take down my server. Then restart the app. I think I've overrun my time by around 10 minutes. So basically, before the error occurs, it's happening. It's not responding. Okay. Interesting. Cached information. So basically, what will happen is that when the app fails to collect that information from Firebase, that crash will be sent over to Firebase, so that when we come to our when we come to our dashboard over in our project, we'll be able to see. We'll be able to see how many users are impacted by crashes in our app, and we can drill down and get more information about these crashes. As said, the whole stack trace is sent to Firebase, and you can be able to drill down. I'm sorry for taking too much time, and I'm sorry also that I've rushed over. Maybe in the next, maybe I'll go through the presentation and make it smaller by doing one integration at a time in the next, so that you can be able to drill down and get more information. I think I'll hand it over to Magak so that we conclude.
So thank you, Danvick. I think just in case you can take one or two questions in case there is any.
Okay. So while you are waiting questions, also I have in my GitHub, I have my own Flutter template that I use to when I'm starting up a project that has all this information, all these integrations done, so that when you are starting a new project, you don't have to. Sorry. So my name is Danvick. If you are searching for me on GitLab, on GitHub, you'll find me with the name Danvick, Danvick. I've developed a couple of packages, but the ones that the one that I want us to focus on is this template for Flutter. It's called Flutter boilerplate. So usually when you start a Flutter project, you get a counter, which is not as useful. And for this, what you get is you have all these Firebase integrations. And basically, when you start, you don't have to do all that setup that I've been doing. All you do is that you start working on your app. It's just as simple as that. There's a bit of documentation to show you how to get started using the template. And then after that, you set up your project and the project is working well. You start getting, all you do is that you go to Firebase, create the project and link it up by downloading that JSON file, placing it there, and your app starts reporting things like Crashlytics, crash information, and analytics information. Any questions? I think taking too much time for questions.
Hello.
Hello.
This is Maureen. I have one question. So for the analytics and stuff and error reporting, so what do you think about using Datadog for the same, to give you the logs when you get an error and stuff? So why do we prefer like Firebase to maybe other services like Datadog, or maybe why would someone use Firebase instead of Datadog?
The thing is that maybe you don't want to have all these services scattered around. Maybe you'll find one that has only crash reporting like Sentry or whatnot, but maybe you want all this information in one platform so that you can relate all these reports. If you look at, there's some demo videos that that Google have done a very good job of enticing you to use Firebase, because let's say, for example, you're using Firebase authentication, you're using Firebase database, you're using Crashlytics, you're using performance monitoring on one platform. It becomes very easy for you to monitor what's happening. So that is my biggest point, that is the biggest advantage I see in using Firebase. I have all these things in one place. And another thing is it's cost effective. Like things like analytics don't pay for anything. It will. I don't think there's a limit according to the documentation I've been reading. There's no limit for analytics. It will do analytics for you. Maybe if you go up a tier, maybe there's more reports to get. But for me, starting out, it's always sufficient. Any other question?
Danvick.
Yeah.
This is something that I think I like the question that Maureen asked, and I think when you start using Firebase, I think they do entice you with some small kind of functionality, but as you grow, as people continue to use the application, then you get a shock of a billing shock or the cost. Okay, but again, if you look around, you'll find majority of this stuff, in my honest opinion, you don't need. The only reason why most mobile application developers use things like Firebase is because they don't have a good back end kind of experience. But now if you once if you are somebody developing application and targeting a lot of users, most of the time you develop a free application. Majority of the people, maybe let me say just around our nation.
Sure.
And the moment the build shoot is when you start to fumble how to now migrate your operation to different free platforms, or platform that can that are very cost effective. Because if you compare Firebase billing with other billings, I think Firebase is usually high. I'm not saying Firebase is not good. Yeah, they do amazing job, and you can take advantage of the free tiers, okay, but to a certain level. But now when you reach the, yeah, scales, like you said, when you want to scale, now when you reach the moment you start to scale is when you'll realize that it is very expensive, and now you have to look for the alternative. For crashes and stuff like that, I think they do a very good job. So is there, like, I'll also emphasize on what Maureen asked you, is there other alternative? And yes, it's good to start with Firebase, but what will happen if you read 10,000 users using your application?
According to my knowledge, things like authentication, real-time database, those have some kind of limits that you'll start paying after some time. But when it comes to analytics, crash reporting, and performance, I don't think there's payment there. I think the only advantage you get by starting to pay will now, but when you need like more specialized reports. But when it comes to reporting and you can do reporting, you can do like all the analysis yourself. I don't think this, like the lower side of this, basically when it comes to quality and analytics, I don't think there's a value attached to it currently. Maybe they may do later, but I know from this side of develop, basically where you have authentication, Firebase, Cloud Firestore, real-time database, storage, hosting, functions, and machine learning, there is a cost attached to it. From my experience, I know that when it comes to quality and analytics, and I'm not very sure about this, but these ones, they are always free. That's why I would recommend Firebase. So unless there's someone who has more information about the billing, I think this is what I know.
So you'll recommend.
So I usually also have my own backend, and like, so basically I don't usually depend on this top side of authentication, Firebase, Cloud Store, Cloud Firestore, and what's not. I usually like develop my own backend, since my experience basically came from backend.
I think now we can agree on that one. That just a caution for anyone. I see a lot of people do kind of entice Firebase to join your beginner developers, but they don't know when once they reach a certain level,
exactly.
and then they will have to start facing financial issues, not even development issues. And when you try to migrate your entire platform to a different platform and you don't have experience, it's usually hectic for your information. So I agree with you. You can use the performance and analytics. I think they're always free, but just when you're going to use authentication, Cloudflare, a real-time database, just be cautious. If you can start from your own backend from the ground up while developing the application, or take advantage of Firebase. When you reach that level, then you can migrate or you can pay, right?
I think for someone who that information is very useful for someone who is developing a free app. You see the advantage of if your app is paid, then when it comes to when the users, or when your app now scales, you'll be getting more revenue and you'll be able to pay. For someone who is building a free app, you may build a free app that has a lot of users, and then now you'll be needed to pay. Also, when you're using Firebase, another thing is that you have to be very, very careful with your architecture and the way you build your app. Basically, you have to have experience of knowing when to query information and when not to query information, when to cache and search information, because like the more times you use the database, the more your bill. So if you use like a bad development traits, you'll end up getting a higher cost, especially when it comes to Flutter, where like maybe someone has built an app which the state management is not so like, maybe you're using something like set state or something like that, You just an example. And every time the page or something rebuilds, it queries Firestore again and again and again. Be very cautious when doing that, especially.
Yeah, now another alternative when it's come to I think data and real time database. I think you can try. There's one called 8base. You can try that one, and then they have a lot of their earning is a little bit flexible. Their prices. So I've tried them, and it's still new. So far, so good. So you can have a look at that one too. If you're building, like we said, if you're building a free application. Okay, thanks, Danvick.
Thank you. I think that's the end of questions then. Or is there any other way that you're looking out? Emmanuel, I hand over to you. Thank you for having me. Thank you for having me. So more information about me, I'm a co-organizer of Flutter Kenya, Flutter Developers Kenya, along with the other individuals. You can find me on Twitter. My handle is Twitter. My handle is Danvick Miller.
Okay, so thank you, Danvick. So you can also check on some link here which has been sent by or you just go in the chat. So I think we've come to the end of the session, as Danvick is showing us his Twitter account. You can follow more of his interactions there. So as I said, this month we're just doing Flutter. So on 15th we'll be having Maureen Josephine presenting on internationalizing Flutter apps. Then on 29th October we will be having Frank Tamre talking about fluttering with the design systems in software development. So this video will be out next week on Thursday. Yeah, so thank you guys for all who tuned in. So I just stop the recording now.
Okay, thank you. Have a good evening, all.